Okay. Okay. Man, Instagram sucks, man. It sucks. Why? Why they do like that? Hey guys, it's Bruce. Welcome to Convocourses Podcast, and let's get started. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about GRC and how to get into this career path from any industry. And I'm gonna research it live. Some of it I know off the top of my head, but some industries I don't know. So whatever industry, I'm going to challenge myself to find a way to get. How would you go into GRC? And just so you know, my name is Bruce. I've been doing cybersecurity, governance, risk, and compliance. That's the policies, the documentation, the regulations, the risk management, the risk consulting, that kind of stuff. I've been doing this for over 20 years in all many aspects, not all, many aspects of cybersecurity. I don't know everything. I'm a subject matter expert on specifically Department of Defense risk management framework. That's my specialty. But that said, I do know a little bit about many other governance, risk, and compliance regulations, and I have a strong enough understanding to where I could pick up just about any regulation, standard, or framework because they all kind of interlace together. They all have so much in common that I could pick up any one of those really fast and teach on it. And I have before. I've gone to an organization where I didn't know ISO 27001. I never messed with it before. As soon as I touched it, I knew exactly what to do. And the reason why I'm not, some kind of a prodigy or anything, I'm a normal ass guy. But once you know one framework and standard, once you understand the common body of knowledge of cybersecurity and IT and how it's supposed to work, it just all makes sense. And so that's why I say that no matter what industry you're in, no matter what your profession is, no matter where you're coming from, you can get into governance, risk, and compliance. Um, so let me get into this. And then if you have questions, if you're trying to get into this, you let me know, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. And the great thing about this community is that if I don't know it, somebody else out there will will share their knowledge and experience and actually chime in and tell you, and give you some information on what you need to know and guide you in the right direction. So pay very close attention to the people in the comments because a lot of times people in the comments know more than I do, and they can guide you in the right direction. So let me get started with a couple here. Okay, I got a question already. Let me see. It says Dime says hi. I bought your CSF book. Is good. Is the CSF still usable? Although we now have CSF 2.0, I would say yes. And CSF, for those who don't know, NIST CSF is Cybersecurity Framework, and they just went to like beginning of this year. They just moved to a new version of it, which is 2.0. And the reason why I say 1.0 is still relevant because many organizations, the organization I'm still in, they still reference 1.0. They haven't. The government takes a long time to change gears, and go to the next platform, the next version of a framework, because everything's tied to that old framework. So it'll take a while for 2.0 to like really grow roots in this industry. But I wanted to get started with a couple of areas where you can go from whatever industry you're in to GRC work. And this is a great segue. CSF is a great segue into how you can get a better understanding and how you can transition your career into a GRC position. Now, first of all, what is it? Why would you even want to do GRC? So GRC is not you configuring firewalls. It's not you setting up, installing, and configuring servers. It's not necessarily you running all the scans or doing vulnerability management. It's not necessarily hands-on in a lot of cases. Sometimes it is. It depends on the role that you're doing or whatever. It does depend. So I've been in GRC roles where I was more hands-on, running scans or doing whatever, right? It's mostly meetings. It's mostly guiding and consulting organizations. It's mostly writing It's mostly communications. It's a lot of that kind of stuff. You do need to have a very strong understanding of information technology. You do need to have an understanding of the industry you're in. That really helps to know how to guide the organization to do the governance, the risk, and compliance. And so let me break down what that is. Governance is three different things: governance, risk, and compliance. Governance is the management side of the house. So if you happen to have been in an industry for a long time, you understand it enough to know where we're supposed to go. Governance probably is the best way for you to go, because you might want to get into a supervisory role and do management. And the guys in management positions are the ones guiding information technology in the direction that it needs to go for the organization, whether you're in finance and healthcare industry or whatever. Now, risk is risk management. So risk management means risk consulting. It can be vulnerability management. It's wherever you're trying to measure and assess the overall security level and security posture is what we call it in that organization. That's what we're trying to do. Now, that includes not only um, information security officers, possibly, or people who are compliance experts, but it could also be assessors. It could be security control assessors. It could be auditors, IT auditors, anybody who's like looking at the system, looking at every part of the organization and saying, okay, where are we with our risk and how can we help manage it? Managers are part of the risk management process. Information, the actual system team, the actual system administrators, they're part of risk analysis, risk assessment, and risk management of the organization. Everybody really is a part of the risk portion of it, but the people who are in a risk role that's mostly what they do. 60% of what they do is looking at the risk and trying to control the risk in some way, shape, or form. That's mostly what they do. They're not necessarily just maintaining servers. Mostly what they're doing is trying to figure out what the risk level is and managing it. Then you got your compliance, your C in there. We talked about governance. We talked about the risk. Now C is the compliance. That's what I do. This is what I've been doing most of my career, which is making sure there's documentation in place, making sure organizations have the right security processes in place. And that includes not only the logical security, but the physical security. We're looking at really every part to see if it lines up with an industry's regulations and standards and frameworks. A specific instance I can give you is that every organization, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what sector you're in, has to have something called a security policy. They don't always call it a security policy. Sometimes it's a security plan, sometimes it's a risk strategy, sometimes they have different names for it. But what it does is it documents what the organization is doing to secure their environment. It's saying, hey, we're doing this, this, this. Here's the type of environment we're using. Here's the type of systems we're using. It points to an inventory. It points to a configuration baseline. It's documenting everything the organization is doing so that everybody's on the same page. And they also, not only do they document it, they authorize it, somebody signs off on it, and they distribute it everywhere. Every single organization has something like that. I am part of the team that helps make sure that it's up to date. And sometimes I'm not directly touching the security policy. I'm helping with the standard operating procedures. Those things line up with the security policies. It's a lot of writing. It's technical writing. It's meeting with people who are subject matter experts on the firewall, subject matter experts on the help desk, on the actual workstations, subject matter experts on everything. So where does CSF come in? CSF is NIST cybersecurity framework. And what it does, it says, here are the functions that every organization should have. They should be able to govern. This is NIST CSF 2.0. They should be able to govern their organization. They should have governance. Governance is leadership, management, making sure that the organization has the resources that they need to do the work that they're supposed to. And governance is really something all of us do, not just management, by the way. All of us have a piece of the pie. And that's part of what leadership is doing, is making sure everybody has is carrying this workload of security posture, making sure everybody is logging in properly, making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. So everybody's lifting that governance. All of us are marching in the same direction. It's the managers and the leadership's responsibility to make sure it's distributed to that knowledge is distributed to everybody. That means in training, you have security awareness, you have all that kind of stuff. So function number one of the NIST CSF 2.0 is governance. Now they have this in 1.0, by the way. They have it. It's just in different places. That's all. He kind of broke it up. It is a bit different, but they broke it up to where governance is in a different part of the functions. Let me go through the rest of the functions quickly. So you've got governance, then you've got identification, identify. So identify function means how does the organization identify the assets in their organization? Like we have to know what our baseline is. We need to know where our assets are. We need to know what our main business is. What is our main business or our main mission? We have to identify that. So we've identified our assets, we identified our main business, and what are the important pieces that help that functionality keep going. And another thing is we need to identify our threats. What threats to us? What are the most likely threats to our organization? We need to identify things like our vulnerabilities. So identify function is really just a basic thing that every organization should have if you're doing cybersecurity. Now, we talked about governance. We talked about identify. Another one is to protect. Protect is just like the word says. We're going to protect our information. We're going to protect our systems. We're going to do things like have encryption. We're going to do things like have a firewall. We're going to do things like zero trust, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago. We're going to have certain security models within our organization. We're protecting our internal networks, our external networks, our DMZ. We're protecting we're doing everything we can to protect our organization. Now, the NIST CSF breaks down all the things an organization should have with this function. It talks about things like data security. It talks about things like having a cybersecurity threat intelligence program, things like that. So we talked about governance. We talked about identify function. We talked about protect. We also need to do what's called detect. So that means if something happens, some weird stuff happens with our organization, we need to be able to detect those anomalies, detect those mishaps, because it's not always just getting hacked. Sometimes something happens with our servers, it goes down. The organization needs to be able to detect that. Now, the thing about the NIST CSF version 1 and version 2.0, they don't tell you exactly how to implement this. And the reason why they do that is because it's like an open standard. They allow you to use it as a platform so that the organization could use whatever technology they want. It's agnostic. It doesn't care what you use. It's just saying, hey, you need to identify, you need to protect, you need to detect. So it's telling you need to do these things. It gives you some suggestions on some things on what you can do, and those are categories within each one of those functions. It breaks each thing down. It says, okay, do you have are you monitoring the networks? Do you have somebody to respond if you do find something? These are the things that you should be doing to do this function of detection, detecting anomalies, detecting things that are going wrong, detecting if you have some malware that's introduced to your organization. And then it gets into what's called a response. So now that you have something, how are we going to respond to it? This goes right into incident response. How are we going to respond to it? Are we prepared if something should happen? So we talked about governance. We talked about identify function. We talked about protection. And then we talked about detection. And now we're talking about, once you detect it, how do we respond? Incident response. It goes deeply into incident response. Now, let's say you get hit. Your system goes down. You've detected it. Your protections are in place, but they weren't good enough, and this happens. No matter how good you think your system is, it will get hacked. Something will happen. It's inevitable. It goes down. You've detected it properly. You've responded. Now you got to be able to recover, and that's part of the functionality. That's the last functionality in the NIST CSF. It's in 1.0 and 2.0. The only thing that's new in 2.0 is governance, and then they add a lot more to the tiered portion and the profile area of the NIST CSF, if you're familiar with it. So, and we'll get into those very quickly. But so those are all of the functions that every organization should have. Recovery. How do we recover once we get hit? How do we bounce back? And that's something you got to do before it even happens. Like, do we have a document in place? Do we have a team in place to help recover? How quickly will we recover? What kinds of things are we going to recover, and what's the time frame for those things to recover? Those are all the functions that every organization should have. The NIST CSF is real special because it really aligns with every industry, whether you're in healthcare or you're in the government or you're in real estate. It doesn't even matter. Like, if you know that one, it lines up with any other job you're trying to do. So it could be one of the first things that you do if you're trying to get into this field is the NIST CSF. It's a great go-to because it's unlike things like HIPAA, which is specifically for healthcare, or Sarbanes-Oxley, which is specifically for finances. The NIST CSF is like an open framework where anybody can use it. And I've done like 6 or 7 different frameworks and in industries, and NIST CSF lines up with all of them. It's really it's really cool. Let me see. I got some questions and comments and stuff here. I'm gonna take some of these. Somebody said, "Please, what are the best ways? The best way to be like you?" So you can be way better than me. I'm not your rule. I'm not your. Shouldn't be your standard. Like, whatever field you're in, you could master that. Like, I'm not in your field. Like, you can do way better than what I'm doing, and doing it in a way that you can do it. Like, if you happen to be in a field like real estate or whatever, you know that field better than I can. So you would be better at implementing security features in that field. Let me see. Chuck says, would AI security engineering, offensive security engineering with AI experience or GRC be more of a need in the future? AI security engineering, offensive security engineering with AI experience. I think that I have a different take on what's going on with AI. I think AI is a great tool. I don't feel threatened by it. I think it's a really, really good tool, and all of us should start learning it as much as possible. That's my take on it. Is it the future? Yeah, it is. It's not going anywhere. It's gonna happen. Like, we might as well make it good. It's gonna be in all aspects of IT, no doubt about it. It's gonna be as big or bigger than cloud. Um, it's in fact, it needs cloud and it needs networking. So I can't say it's bigger than, network or cloud or the internet or something like that. I think its influence will be massive. Massive. I think that you should learn it as much as possible, whether you're doing offensive security, which is like pen testing or whatever. Any tools that are coming out. There's so many tools and stuff coming out. I can't even keep up with it. There's tools for, listen, there's tools for GRC that involve AI. There's tools for risk assessments, compliance. There's tools for offensive security, which is like pen testing and hacking and stuff. There's so many tools using AI that I can't even keep up. It's like it's just going off in this it's going in all directions at once. And I think that what you should do is just embrace it as a tool and use it. Whether you're writing, you're doing technical writing, if you're learning to get in this field, whatever you're doing, you should use it immediately. Don't be afraid of it. Don't back off. I know my kids are like artists, and they're really against it. I know Gen Z is really, really against the use of it. And I have a whole completely different take on it. It's just weird. I thought they'd embrace it, but they're kind of really apprehensive about it. And my thing is like use it. Like even as an artist, I think you should use it. I don't think you should shy away from it. It's not good that it uses other people's material and then reshapes and reforms it. Yeah, there's definitely copyright issues and stuff like that. I'm not telling you to just write a whole book with it, like use it to write an entire book. It's going to be a shitty book that's going to plagiarize other people's work. That's what's going to happen. I'm telling you, like, use it to help you enhance your writing. Use it to help you enhance or get ideas for your art. Use it for your career path. Like, use it as a tool. Don't use it. It's not a replacement. It's a supplement to the skills you already have, right? So just use it. Is it the future? It is. It absolutely learn it as much as possible. Whether you're doing security engineering, you're doing GRC, offensive security, whatever. Use it. Let me see. Got some other stuff here, and I'll do TikTok next. Um, Shade says, I love your videos on the NIST controls. Wish you could do all of them. I plan on touching on all of them in my course. I'm gonna hit every single family in there. I haven't done them all yet, but if you have purchased that, I plan on hitting all of them, every single one. There's so many one. I hit every family. I don't hit every individual control. I just don't think for the NIST that's necessary unless you're in that, because not all of them are used in every situation. And it's better to just have a good understanding of the family and the main ones in that family. That's just my take on it. There's some I've never touched before because they're so granular that some of them are only necessary in specific situations. So a lot of times, some of my students will contact me and say, "Hey, Bruce, have you seen this control before?" And then they'll email it to me, and then I'll look at it and I'm like, I've never seen this one before. And then I'll go research it and I'll say, oh yeah, okay, I know what this is. This is for if you have information that needs to be publicly available. So this is what you would do. And then I would give them more references and give them my take on that control, my interpretation of that control. So I will continue to hit every family and then explain the main ones you need to know. And then what's the zeitgeist, like the feel of that control and my interpretation of it. And if people have specific things that they want me to address, then I will in that control. Let me see. TikTok. Let me see. You guys got some questions on here. Um, is military is military good for a cybersecurity career? Yes, the military is really, really good if you can get into a cyber security or a cyber information assurance type position. Any kind of IT position in the military is incredible. And there's several ways that the military is great for your. I can't speak on if you're being a cop out on the outside. I can't speak on if you're any other field. Like my field from when I transitioned out of the military was IT. I do have some friends who became cops or whatever, but um, anyway, from the military. Why is it good? Number one, if you do IT in the military, actually, even if you didn't do IT but you went to the military, you get a security clearance. In a lot of jobs, they'll give you a security clearance. It's much harder to get that on the outside because unless you live in the DMV area or somewhere that's has a lot of federal or state jobs where you are required to get a security a security clearance, it's going to be hard for you to get one. So military number one will get you that clearance. And clearance, what that is, they shouldn't call it security clearance because cybersecurity professionals think people trying to get in this field think that they have to have one in order to have a job, a cybersecurity job. They think they have to have a clearance, and that's not true. They'll do a background check on it, but a background check is not a clearance. It's not a security clearance. Two different things. Anyway, number one, military will give you a clearance, a security clearance. which is going to open up doors immediately and immediately axe out a whole bunch of competition that you would normally have. So that's one good thing. Another thing is if you get an IT job in the military, you're going to get hands-on experience like you would not get anywhere else. Like you're going to be working with multi-million dollar projects, and they're going to trust you with that equipment. They're going to trust you to do your job. You're going to get exposure to a level of responsibility that it's going to be really hard for you to get on the outside, especially as a new person. So that's two things. A clearance is going to give you that on the job training. And I would argue, even if you were a grunt, like if you were a weapons specialist like myself, you still got great opportunities, because I was able to cross train, cross rate, whatever you guys call it in your MOS, whatever. I changed my job, my career path as a weapons specialist, as security police, into an IT professional in the military. But even if you didn't, the exposure to being a leader and being under pressure and dealing with a heavy equipment, like expensive equipment, and having responsibilities, it's going to give you all those things. So that's why a lot of times organizations will accept you as a veteran, because they know that they feel like they can trust you because you were a vet. So that's a couple things right there that it gives you. You get an extra boost of trust. I would say that's like an extra thing, that they know that you're trying to you've been through a level of scrutiny that you were willing to sacrifice a part of yourself for a cause greater than you, for an organization. And so that extra boost of trust. So is it great for your career? Absolutely. And additionally, while you're in the military, you can get a degree, you can get certifications, they'll pay for it. It's really, really good. I would add an extra caveat that military is not for everyone. It is absolutely not for everyone. It is absolutely not for the weak. It's not for the weak-minded. It's not for people who can't take direction. It's not for people who are not humble. It's not for the undisciplined. It is not for the weak. And I'm sorry if people are offended by that, but I don't think it's for everybody. I just don't. There was people in the military I didn't think should be in the military. To be honest, there were people I was like, why is this guy in the military? And they kept pushing him through. And I'm like, dude, like if we get a firefight, if you're in combat, we're screwed, because I can't rely on this person or this person. So everybody should not go in the military. That's why I say, if you go in, you should have more than one reason. You should have more than one reason. I have more than one reason. My situation at home was brutal. I had to get away. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to get my degree. I wanted to have a job, a steady job. I have several reasons for it. It wasn't just to get into IT. I was thinking about survival. I wasn't even thinking about IT until I got in. I was like, damn, I need to switch it up. So military is awesome for a cybersecurity career. It's one of the best moves you can make. Let me see another TikTok. And I'm sure I've got some vets in here who can chime in and give their 2 cents in. Let me see if anybody put their 2 cents in there. Nope. Okay. Let me see. Somebody said, how do I get entry level for cybersecurity? So I get this question a lot, and I would start off by, if you're really trying to get this job, if you're serious, then your first move should be any help desk position, any kind of field tech position, any kind of customer service technical position. You should open up. I'm not telling you not to take a cybersecurity entry level job. They do exist. I'm not telling you not to do it. But if you don't have experience, it's going to be really difficult for you to hit the ground running on a cybersecurity or GRC position. And I'll give you an example. I was doing an interview with Chris of Tech Woke. Go check him out. Tech Woke Podcast. If you're looking for him on YouTube, great stuff. He's interviewing people all the time. Go ahead and check him out. But like, this is crazy. So Chris he got an entry level GRC position, and I was like, what? How did you do this? Right? You could go check out the interview where I'm asking him. And let me tell you something. It wasn't So first of all, my man was, he said when he told me like his journey, I'm like, oh shit, that's why. That's how he got an entry level. It wasn't easy. It's not for the faint of heart. You know what I mean? This man had a master's degree. I mean, granted, it's in I can't remember what his master's degree is in, but some kind of technical master degree. It wasn't in computers, I don't think. A master's degree. So, and then he's in the DMV area, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And if you know anything about the area, I mean, that place is super hot for GRC jobs. So that right there is already two things that narrow the path of somebody who could get this kind of job. Another thing is he got a clearance. He's in the DMV area and got himself a clearance doing another job. I think he was doing physical security, and he got a clearance doing that. So that's three things that would eliminate most people. Three things, and then he got a GRC position. Another thing is he got a security plus, and he said with that, just a security plus, without a clearance, without just the security plus, he said he applied for 100 jobs and couldn't get it. That's just all he had was a security plus. So he had to have a clearance, he had to have a security plus, he had a master's degree, he's in the DMV area, all those things, and then he got a GRC position, entry level. So that is hard. Everything I just said is going to take you many, many steps to do, and it's very narrow. So when I'm telling you, I'm not telling you not to do that. That's awesome. Like, if you can do that, if you happen to have all those boxes checked off, then yeah, go for it. What I'm telling you is for the wider audience who don't live in DMV area, who can't get a security clearance, right, for whatever reason, who don't have a master's degree, right? If you don't have these things, then listen, here's how you can do it. First of all, don't narrow it to just a GRC or cybersecurity position. You're going to have to start from the bottom. That means a regular ass help desk job. I started with a regular ass help desk job. I was in the military, had a regular ass help desk job. That means fixing computers, making sure customers' phones are working, fixing laptops, being on the call, being on the phone, walking customers through their issues. It's going to teach you a few things. It's going to teach you about organization, how they work. It's going to teach you basic troubleshooting things, and it's going to widen your scope. You might not even want to do cybersecurity. You might get in help desk and be like, I want to be a manager of the help desk. You might say, okay, this isn't really what I want to do. I'm really sharp at coding. I want to be a coder. You might say, wow, I really like what people are doing in this with servers. I want to be a Red Hat server administrator or a Windows server administrator, or somebody take you under their wing and they teach you how to do networking, and you start being a master at Cisco routing and switches and stuff. It might change your path. So entry level, especially if you don't have a lot of experience, you need to start from just straight up help desk, customer support, that kind of thing. That's where you want to focus on. Now, if you happen to land a GRC position entry level or a cybersecurity entry, great, that's awesome. But don't narrow your path. Like, look at all jobs. Remember, you're not trying to stay at this job. You're trying to use that job as a stepping stone. It's the first step in a path that's going to lead you to freedom. I don't even see where I'm at right now, doing this 20 years, making six figures, working from home. I still feel like this is a step. I still feel like I'm just I'm a beginner who's learning how to do business. I'm just taking one step at a time. I'm using all of these steps to build myself and my family up to a higher level. That's how I see it, even at my level, with gray hair and all, bald, everything. I've been in this field for a long time, but I'm still seeing it as steps. And you know what? They are steps. I use the job I currently have to build something else bigger. If I wanted to, I could be a manager at an organization. I could shoot for, a C-level or director position if I wanted to. If I wanted to go that route. But everything I'm doing and everything you're doing is steps towards something bigger. And that's how you should see it. It's not the job you get, that entry level help desk job, whatever it is, field tech. that's not where you're going to stay. You're going to get in and you're going to use that as stepping stones to get something bigger and bigger and bigger until you get to a point where you're like, okay, this is cool. This is all right. Maybe I want to get this extra income, or maybe I want to be a director, or maybe, I'm gonna invest all my money to do my build up my 401k or my stocks and stuff. You're building it to where a place you want to be. All right, let me get some more stuff from YouTube. Tammy Green says, can you do some mock interviews? I've been interviewing for 6 months and it has been an emotional roller coaster, but I want to personally say how grateful I am with your content. Thank you a lot, Tammy. I really appreciate it. Tammy, I've got something coming soon, and I might integrate mock interviews and mock labs, GRC labs, into what I do as a part of a membership. I'm still building it right now. I'm literally writing it, like I'm putting a book together that's going to be expanded into a course that's going to be more of an interactive thing, because that's more of what people want. And I think maybe as a part of what I do, I'll integrate it into interviews. I'll put interview stuff in there. That's a really, really great idea, because some of the stuff I've done for people would be like a mock interview. Um, and maybe that's something that I can put into this new thing I'm doing. So thank you for that. I appreciate this. I will put this as a part of it. But yeah, I'd be willing to, you know what, hit me up. Maybe I can do a mock interview with you to see if maybe it'll test out what I want to introduce into this thing that I'm doing. So if you are serious about this, I could do a quick mock interview with you. I'll pretend to be whatever employer you want. I'll ask the types of questions that they ask, tough questions, and then give you a chance to kind of practice if you're interested. If you're interested, go to shoot me an email at contact@convocourses.com, and I'll do a quick interview. Now it's got to be on the weekend because I work Monday through Friday. But if it's tomorrow or later today, we can do it. Just send me an email quickly. Otherwise, it'll be next week. Or I guess I could probably do it like later in Monday through Friday. I need to put together a calendar to do this kind of one-on-one stuff. Calendar is going to be really important. I've been for you guys who've been following me for a while and like my course and books and stuff like that. I've been putting together something a little bit more interactive, something that's going to be that I could talk to you Monday through Friday instead of this 1 day a week thing that I've been doing. Something where I can give more, because I have a lot more to give. Like jobs will pop up and I'm like, oh man, I need to share this to everybody. But I don't have, like, if I put it on TikTok, only the people who watch me on TikTok see. If I put it and then I blast it out to several different places. But sometimes I need to put it out like right now, not make no video, not nothing. Just right now, boom, post it, and then you see it immediately. And that's kind of the environment that I want to build. And I can from there make a video or make a some other kind of thing out of it, or a book or whatever that takes a month or 2 months or whatever to make. I'm trying to do like a community thing where it's more like right now, we're talking back and forth and building this community up, and have the same people who, all my top people on TikTok and my top people on YouTube, all of us come together and just share knowledge and put something like that together. So yeah, thank you for your thoughts. I appreciate it. Hit me up if you're serious about doing a mock interview. I can't do this for everybody, so if I get a ton of people contacting me, just keep in mind I'm one dude. Like, I'm one dude. I have a full-time job, so that's why I used to take payment for it so that it would limit how many people contact me about it. Anyway, let me see. Don says, I also bought your ISO book too, and I read it, learned policy writing, and I'm applying. Wow, what the hell? That's awesome, man. Tired of imposter syndrome, and I'm ready to leave the help desk, and I'm just afraid of the interview. Yeah, there we go again, the interview. And the interview, I feel like I do pretty good on interviews. I do pretty good on interviews. I remember one job I got. I got one job, and it was a high level job. And once I got in there, my boss told me, he says, you beat out like 14 other people. And I was like, I wasn't shocked. I wasn't shocked. I really put my best foot forward on it. And it was because how I do it. As it's not bragging rights. It's just how I do it. Like, I knew what they were looking for, and I I read the description, and when I did the interview, it was a performance. I wasn't lying, like not lying in the sense that I was not saying I was a performance in the like acting or lying or something, but performance in that I rehearsed it, and I rehearsed it by what I was going to say based off of what the description of the job said, what they were looking for. I read through all the stuff they were looking for, and then I created questions based off of all the requirements and even the preferred things that they wanted. And then I rehearsed how I was going to say, how I was going to explain why I was the best person on each one of those qualities. And I gave experience, I gave a story, like, here's why, here's things I've done for plan of action and milestones. I would give them an actual story from me doing plan of action and milestones. And they'd be like, they were just listening, like, yep. And then they would ask me more questions about it. A couple interviews that I did, I was teaching them as I was doing the interview. Because I've been doing this so long. I was teaching them, like, oh yeah, this is how you do it. And they were like, well, what if this happens? I was like, oh yeah, you just do this. And they're like, interesting, right? And then they hired me. Crazy, but if you want to be like that effective, you've got to rehearse it. It's a performance. In any this is something that's going to change it. Like, all the artists that you listen to, what do they do before a performance? They rehearse it. They rehearse the song on a stage. That's what you got to do too. What you do is, you first of all, you study what it is the material is going to be. That's the script. That's the song. That's the stuff that you're going to perform. And then perform it. Like, perform it to yourself either in the mirror, or record yourself talking, and look at your mannerisms. Look at how much you look at yourself in the eye. Look at how much eye contact you make. Look at how expressive you are with your hands. It's a performance. And the more you do it, the more it's just like boom, 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 boom. Even if you don't know something, if you're not pretending to know things, but you can take the time, if you're actually rehearsing, they take the time to actually read about it. Like, if they said PCI DSS, and that's part of the thing, but you've never done it before, you can go ahead and read it and know exactly what the main things are. So if they ask you about it, you'd be like, well, I know what it is. It's this, this, and that. It's the credit card industry's method of protecting the client's credit card information, their financial records and the financial information. I know what it is. Here's the steps for it. But I haven't done it before, but it's very similar to some other security stuff that I've done, because we also had to separate the point of the important networks from the trivial networks, or whatever correlation that you have with your own experience with this thing that you don't know. I have not used it before, but I know what it is. I'm familiar with it. But if you rehearse it, you're just like boom, boom, boom. And another thing is, show that you're a team player. You're going to go play on a team, right? It's not gonna be a one-man show. Even if you're the only person on a position, you're not. It's not a one-man. You're gonna have to work with this or that subject matter expert. So show that you're a team player. So thank you for buying the book, Dime. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Tammy, and everybody who watched that old video I did about the interviews. I really appreciate that too. All you guys' support is really helpful to me. Special shout out to my man Larry, who donated this to me. Endless supply of liquid death. All right, let me see here. Does cybersecurity have a future. I'm about to get into school for it. Mr. Diaz, it definitely has a future. So if you're hearing all of this noise about AI taking all jobs and stuff, it's just noise. AI is going to be a great tool for us. I'm excited about it personally. I'm excited about it. We have bigger things to worry about with AI, but it taking all IT and AI jobs is not. All GRC and IT jobs is not one of the things I'm worried about personally. Will it eventually? Can it in some future alternate universe? Yes, it for sure. There's a possibility of that happening. But I just want to give you a case for why it's a great career path. Um, it pays really well. It pays really well. It's in demand. So many people, um, so many people and organizations need it. Oh, Tammy, thanks for the 10 bucks. I appreciate that. So many people need this work, and even AI. AI is going through this transitional period where they're trying to make it compliant with governance, risk, and compliance of certain countries, governance, risk, and compliance of certain industries. Right now, it's going through this phase. Who do you think they're going to call to allow it to continue to be safe and usable and secure? It's going to be us. It's going to be cybersecurity people. It's going to be GRC specifically people who got to keep these systems in line. Will it take jobs? Will AI take jobs? It will take jobs. It for sure. There's going to be a gigantic shift, and it's going to take jobs. But I believe it will make jobs too. Just in the same way the internet and email took some jobs from people. And less people do faxes now. Less. In the same way cars replaced the horse and buggy, it's gonna, some people who used to have horse and buggy jobs they're gone, but they got replaced by mechanics who fix cars. I think the same thing can be said about where the time frame that we're living in now. And it's a little bit different in that AI can fucking speak back to us, so it's a bit different. I'll give you that, but it's going to take our jobs. In my personal opinion, I don't believe it will take all jobs. I think it will shift jobs. It will be a paradigm shift in humanity as a whole, to be honest with you. It won't just be jobs. Jobs, I think, is the least of our concerns. And that is a big concern, but it's the least of the concerns, I think. Um, Other reasons why you should do cybersecurity. It's in demand. You're gonna have less competition. You're not like really thinking about competition right now, but once you get in this field, it's a big factor. Competition is a huge factor. The more you specialize, it doesn't have to be networks. It doesn't have to be cybersecurity. It could be networks, networking. You can specialize in cloud. Hell, you can specialize in AI. Have a specialty. At some point, specialize in something. You want to be a generalist enough to be special in one thing. You're going to be the best cybersecurity people I've met are both generalists and specialists. They're generally have a general understanding of how IT works and how best practices of cybersecurity are and all that kind of stuff. They have a general understanding where you could probably put them just about anywhere, but then they have a specialty in one thing, like they're really specialized in network engineering or whatever. It pays well. There's less competition. It's in demand. And it opens up many other doors. Like if you're a cybersecurity person, it's going to open up. It's a huge field. You can be a person who's just writing policy. You could be a person if you're very, very good at math. You can get into cryptography. If you are more analytical, you like hands-on, you like to fix things. You could be an engineer where you're fixing servers or routers or switches. You could be if you're there's different aspects of cybersecurity itself. There's cybersecurity intelligence where you're looking at threats and going on the dark web and looking up how people on the dark web are targeting companies. That's a whole career path right there. You could be an incident response person. That's like a person who's monitoring traffic and if they find an anomaly, they have to react to it, and then they go through this sequence of processes to make sure that the organization is still safe. And that also lines up with cybersecurity analyst work. There's many different aspects of cybersecurity. It's a huge field. That's not just one thing. All right, let me see. Other questions. Let me see. What do I have here? Already read that one. Zara says, "Hey Bruce, for someone who is a beginner, which one of your courses do you recommend for buying practical hands-on training? Is the Risk Management Framework ISO Foundations?" I would not, as much as I want your money, if you're a beginner, I would not recommend that particular course. I would not. It's really good for if you're a help desk person who's is going to try to get into the government or is already in the government, or you got pushed into this field where you're an information security officer. It's really good for that. If you don't know anything, if you're not an IT person already, it's just not going to be. Some of it won't make any sense to you. It just if you really want to take it, you could. It's going to teach you risk management framework. You're going to know a lot about risk management framework, but it's going to be hard to get a job as an information system security officer without a strong background in information technology. It's just going to be hard. Like my man Chris at TechWoke, I mean, he didn't have his background was a bit different, but he had a master's degree. He had a security clearance. You know, he had a security plus already. He had all those things. That's how he got an entry level. So if you have those things, then yeah, maybe you want to take the risk management framework course, which he did. So if you are off the streets, like what I mean by that is you worked in retail for a couple of years. You were in the hotel restaurant management area for you were a nurse, you were a teacher, you were in the healthcare industry. This is not for you. I'm writing something right now that will be, but I'm not done. It's going to take me a while to build it. It's governance, risk and compliance, where I'm breaking down what it is, where you can get into any industry using governance, risk and compliance. It's not just risk management framework is specifically for NIST 837, which mostly the government, United States government uses. Now, there are other organizations that use it. The state uses it. The states in the U.S. use it. I've seen other organizations reference it because it's really robust. It's very useful. But for the most part, if you want to get a job, that's not the course that you should take. One that you could take if you're an absolute beginner. I've got some free stuff. Go ahead and check out. Go to convocourses.net and look for some free stuff on there. I've got a free course on like kind of the mindset that you should have going into this. It walks you through that. It's free. It used to be paid. People paid for it, but I was like, I'm not really getting enough. I just need to make it free because so many people are coming in. They're window shoppers. They're not they're not about this life, right? I get a lot of window shoppers, no offense, but people who are here just like, I want that money. But then as soon as the work starts, they're like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to go do this other thing. This right here takes a certain dedication of your life to it. It is worth it. I can travel anywhere I want. I can take care of my family, my extended family. I make enough to where I can take extra risk on business. I'm secure whenever the economy is going up and down. Some of my best jobs were when the economy was in recession. It doesn't matter who's president. They all need GRC. So it's worth it. It's worth your time. I'm not telling you not to do it. But if you have no experience in this and you're a teacher, you're having a whole nother, you're a real estate agent, and you're tired of your nice clothes and stuff, you're tired of being broke, this career path is for you. Like, it is worth your time, but you're gonna have to start. It's not for the weak. It's not for the weak. It's for people who are willing, really trying to put the work in and the time in. And if that's you, I would highly, highly recommend this stuff. But you got to start from the bottom. You got to start from knowing the basics of information technology, and then knowing how to protect that information technology, and then the GRC, you can build that on top of it. Let me see. I do have a course coming out though. That's gonna be for like a more wider audience. Tammy says, any pointers for an interview? I have one coming up. They are mapping the NIST 800-171 to the CMMC maturity model with the CUI and vendor management. So yes, I got. Let me see. Let me set some stuff up. Let me see if I can give you a good. If you send me, Tammy, if you send me the job description, I can even do you one better. But I'll just work with what I have here for now. Let me see if I can do something. Bear with me. I'll show you a couple little tricks you can use as tools to help you get there. So, like I said, what you're going to want to do is rehearse. Um, One important aspect of your rehearsal is going to be to get the right information. And that's what I'm about to help you with right now. You're going to get good information, and then that information is what you're going to rehearse on. Let me just get this stuff ready real quick, and I'm going to show you live how I would go about getting prepared for it. Now, I am not a NIST 800-171 CMMC CUI expert by any stretch of the imagination. Mine is mostly NIST 800, but I know what it is. So for those of you who don't know, NIST 800-171 is for companies who do business with the Department of Defense. So they don't have a federal system. They have to have enough data to work with the Department of Defense, but they don't house those systems. So they have to have a little less security than your average federal information system. There's certain controls that they use that you won't see in a federal organization. So it's a little bit less controls, less security levels, and things like that. So, but any organization, let's say you had an organization that was making tires for the Department of Defense for their Humvees or something. So you would have to have certain information. Like, you could have your own office, but they're saying, look, your office has to have a certain level of security to deal with us. We that's great. You won your contract, but now you need to be compliant with the NIST 800-171 and with CMMC, because we're going to be sending you certain specifications that you need to have. So that is what the NIST 171 is. And so how do you prepare for that is what I'm about to show you. If I could log into my system here. That's what I'm trying to do here in the background. Let me see here. Just bear with me. I'm almost there. Okay, there we go. Oh, no. Yep. Okay, there we go. Come on, dude. This is crazy. What are they doing here? Nice. All right. I'm trying to log in here, and I'll show you my screen in a second. Bear with me, doing this live. So we are definitely having some issues here. You'll see what I mean in a second here. Just bear with me. Okay. Okay, finally. Wow. So ridiculous. Okay. So I'm going to show my screen here real quick and give you guys a breakdown of what we're going to do here. This is a tool I've been using quite a bit, and I would encourage everybody to start using something like this. You don't have to use this one, but what I'm on right now is Chat GPT. You can use another one that's really good is Google Genesis. Claude AI is really good. It's actually probably better than this one. I've been messing around with it. And what I'm going to do is take Tammy's comment, and I'm going to show you exactly what I would do. So she said, watch this. She said, I'm just going to type exactly what she said. Any pointers for an interview? The job consists of mapping NIST 800-171 to CMMC with CUI vendor and vendor management. So what we need is questions. Give me top 5 questions for the interviewer might ask. The interviewer might ask. Or might ask. Okay, now check this out. If I had more information from Tammy, if Tammy showed me the actual job description, this would be way more effective. The more information that you give it, the more, the better it's going to be. So it looks like she tried to give me the job description, but it didn't come through. But let me do it without the job description real quick. So it's going to generate some questions that I can use to rehearse. Now, you can see AI is very helpful, but it's still going to come to you to perform this. That you still have to be the one to do the work to get this job. Now let's see what it come up with. Came up with 5 questions. It says, here are the top 5 questions an interview might ask for this job involving mapping the NIST 800-171 to the CMMC with a focus on CUI and vendor management. Okay, question number 1. It says, can you explain the key differences between the NIST's 800-171 and the CMMC, particularly in terms of their approach to cybersecurity and compliance? Right, and this says, now why is it asking this question? This question assesses your understanding of the 2 frameworks and their specific requirements. Now, I would go a step further. Now, check this out. Now, it's coming up with some pretty generic questions here, which is great. Now, considering I don't have the description of the job or anything, this is actually better than nothing. But let's go a step further. We could say, how would I answer this question while displaying, if I could spell, displaying my experience. experience. I'm just gonna go ahead and misspell. All right, it'll correct. It knows what I mean. Isn't that cool? You can just misspell a whole bunch of stuff and it knows what you mean. Um, my experience on this question. Watch this, and then I go like this. Now watch this. Check this out. Here's its response. Look, it's breaking down the answer structure. Look at this. It's giving you a discourse on how to answer this specific question. Now, if I had more information on the job, this would be it would be even better. It would be much, much better. And it says to answer this question effectively, display your experience, you should first provide a clear, concise comparison to the two. So we start off by saying, here's the difference between NIST 171 and CMMC. So now you're displaying that you know what those things are and that there are differences, right? Boom. Brilliant. And then it goes into a brief introduction, okay? Brief introduction of what they are. Explains the differences between the two. You can read that if you like. But then it says key differences, certification and assessment, maturity levels. Those are the differences. Now it gets into practical experiences. It says, in my previous role at Company X, I was responsible for mapping and cybersecurity practices from the NIST 800-171 to meet the CMMC requirements. This involved conducting a gap analysis to identify areas where additional practices were needed. Now, you probably, Tammy, maybe you don't have this experience, right? Maybe this is not your experience. I don't know your experience level or whatever, but maybe you don't have it. Now, let's say you didn't. You could just learn the differences between the two. The first part of this is really good. It's saying you would sit there and explain briefly the differences between NIST 800-171 and CMMC to show that you understand it. And you could say, well, I don't have experience doing that, lining them up, but I know what they are. So I'd be able to do a gap analysis on it pretty quickly on this one. I would be a part of the team to do a gap analysis to make sure that those things lined up properly. You could just say something like that, right? That doesn't take you having experience. That takes you taking the time to rehearse and understand, research the differences between the two, and then introducing them to that. They'll at least be like, okay, this person's knowledgeable. They took this complex set of frameworks, they lined them up, figured out what the differences were, and then gave us something a way that they will be able to help us. We want this person. We want Tammy Green. So that's one thing you could do. Use ChatGPT or Google Genesis or Claude AI. You don't even have to pay for it because they only have you pay for those services if you want the specialized version like ChatGPT 4.0. That one is paid, I believe. I'm not sure if it's free. They might have made it free recently. You can use Claude AI from Anthropic, and you can use all of those ones for free at a certain amount. I think if you do a certain amount of words, then you have to pay. If you want a certain level of competence on the AI, then you have to pay for it. But yeah, it's this right here is a great tool for you to use. So I would highly recommend you use this tool right here. Let me see. ISP. Okay, I got another one from TikTok. Somebody said, oh, and thank you for that $10, by the way. I really appreciate that, Tammy. Really appreciate that. I did see that. Yep, there it is right there. ISP Network Development Engineer. Okay. I want to pivot. Besides Security Plus, what would be a good starting point? A good starting point to get into cyber. I'm assuming you mean getting into cybersecurity as a whole. I would focus on building off of your network skills. Like the best, arguably some of the best cybersecurity people are the ones who know networking. Because networking is the fabric of everything we do. If without networking, we wouldn't be able to, none of this shit would work. Not a single thing here would work. We wouldn't be able to do these conversations. most organizations would be dead in the water. There would be no internet without network engineers and engineering and the whole concept of networking. You have a huge advantage by being a network development engineer. If it was me, I would build off of your network security knowledge, which you already have. You already have it. I used to be a network engineer. I thought nothing of port security. I thought it sucked. I hate doing it. But guess what? That's a part of some of the best security practices that you have to do. Knowing your port protocols and services. Another big one. You obviously know the top 25 ports. Like you know the most popular ports that people use. You know what a subnet mask is. You know the difference between a private IP and a public IP. Those are all security things that us cybersecurity people, GRC people have to rely on. We have to rely on your skill set to make our networks and our boundaries secure. If it was me, I was an ISP network development engineer, I would build off of network security. All the features of network security are going to lead you in the right direction. You might want to consider a couple things. You might want to consider a not just a security plus. That's a good one, but you've got other options available. If you're a Cisco person, you've got a CCNA security. They might even have a specialized security one by now. I don't follow that vendor as closely as I used to, but any kind of specialized Cisco, if you happen to be a Cisco guy, security certification would help you a lot. Another one would be if you happen to be Juniper. Juniper has some security certifications as well. Another one would be AWS Cloud. You might want to consider doing cloud stuff. You as a network person will pick up cloud like nothing. It'll be nothing to you because you've got all the hardest concepts down that you do probably every day. So a cloud certification would be nothing to you. I would do that and then specialize in security. Another one will be VMware. VMware would also be super easy for you. That's another popular certification. Vendor level certifications. Networking has this. One of the things about networking I don't like, when I did it, is that most of their best certifications are controlled by the vendors. It's unfortunate because the vendors are constantly changing their certifications, whereas your vendor neutral certifications like Security Plus or CISSP or things like that, they're vendor neutral. They're not dependent on they focus on the best security practices, not what the actual vendor. Like with a Cisco certification, it's going to focus on what you do with Cisco equipment, how to back up the router, which is a security feature, how to secure the router, another security feature that you should put into your toolbox, how to secure routing protocols, right? Which I know nothing about, but I'm sure that's a thing. But my point is, build on network security that you already do, and maybe do a vendor level certification from there. Most of the best network certifications, unfortunately, are owned and controlled by vendors. They're always changing them up. They're tweaking them. You got to buy this thing, or you got to upload this or that to, they just they'll get rid of a certification out of nowhere and then say, hey, there's a new certification. You got to take this one. If you have this one's grandfathered and this other one in, or something. I don't know. But as a network guy, build on your security, your network security skills, and then go from there. Another thing you can do if you're really trying to get out of security networking entirely, which is what I did, is learn frameworks. Frameworks is going to be something that you'll pick up very quickly. Whatever industry you happen to be an IT guy in, whether it's healthcare or it's financial sector or government, all of them have a framework. Learn what that framework is and just read about it. Help with policy. If you happen to already still be an IT guy, you're in the field, help with whenever they come to you and say, hey man, we need some help with the security policy. help them. Don't be like, oh, I don't feel like doing. That's exactly what GRC is if you're trying to do GRC route. There's things you can do. My point is, there's things you can do in the industry already that will help you to build your career to go into security, depending on what security you want to do. You want to build in that direction. Hope that helps you out. Let me see. I got some more questions here. Ian Williams says, govern, identify, protect, detect, respond, recover. That's NIST CSF 2.0. Ian Williams says, what about risk management framework? Prepare, categorize, select, implement, assess, authorize, monitor. Yep. Those are the steps to do risk management framework for NIST 837. That's really my specialty. That's what I've been doing for many, many years. They line up. If you look at it, the more you look at it, the more they all line up, and all they're trying to do is be compliant with regulations and standards that are mandated by government or industry. And then they're also implementing best security practices. So if you know one, you can very quickly pick up the next one. When you first start reading PCI DSS or HIPAA or Sarbanes-Oxley or something, you're like, what the hell is this? But as you start reading it and start getting into the security features, you're like, okay, this makes sense. I could see why inventory control or having an inventory for your hardware or software is important. I can see where the NIST 800 maps to an ISO 27001. They kind of hit certain areas differently, but when you get right down to it, they're all doing the same thing. And the thing is, the more of these frameworks and standards and regulations you know, the more money you can demand. The more people will want you because you have ISO 27001 written in your profile or in your resume. You have NIST 800, you have PCI DSS, you have whatever, HIPAA, whatever is in there. You understand it, right? That's the name of the game. We're doing this one step at a time. This is not the end game. What I'm doing here, working remotely, making six figures, is not the end. I'm only on step 15. That I'm going to take step 16, 17, 18. I'm going to do real estate. I'm going to do some other stuff. This is a stepping stone. But you got to take that step forward. You got to take that first step. All right. Somebody said my company follows HIPAA and SOC. Wow, that's fire right there. This man is about to make some crazy money. Options on SAN certificates. SAN certificates. Options. Oh, opinions. Sorry, I can't read. Opinions on SAN certification certificates. SAN certificates are fire, man. Some of the smartest people that I've met, the most skilled individuals, had a SAN cert. Now I didn't understand this when I first saw it, because I was like, how are they so good if it's an open book test? SANs, if you didn't know, they have open book tests, and they have open book tests, and it sounds exactly like what I'm saying. It's an open book test. That doesn't mean it's easy. You still have to know the knowledge, and I think you can even have your notes. Like, you can have your notes right there as you're taking the test, so the thing is, it's very expensive. So my opinion is it's very expensive. It's very, very expensive. Let me give you some real numbers. What is the average cost of a SANS certificate? So let's see here. I could be wrong. Yeah, 3,000. Yeah, So the cybersecurity fundamental certificate is $3,000. And some of them are like $9,000, bro. So yeah, they're expensive, man. Normally, what happens is your whatever organization you're in, they'll pay for it. They pay for some kind of training. They get some kind of discount to have, you know, a dozen of their people go ahead and take the certification. But they're expensive certifications. Let me see if I can find some cheaper ones. Okay, here's GC. Okay, let me show you my screen here, and I'll read it so you know I'm not lying. I'm not trying to shit on this certification. Like I said, SANS. I've met people with these certifications, and they're always so far. I've been impressed. I haven't been impressed with every CISP I've ever met. I've not been impressed with every CISSP, but I can say every SANS cert person I met has been very impressive. Um, so the GIAC certification attempt is $900. The applied knowledge certificate is $1,200. Certificate attempts retakes $800, $879. The actual applied knowledge certifications is $1,199. Yeah, so they're not cheap. They're not cheap. And the one that I was most impressed with was the actual SANS GAIC. Let me see if I can find that one. How much? How much is the SANS GCAI certificate? This one, if I'm not mistaken, was pretty high. It was like 9,000. I don't want to lie to you. This doesn't even look real. Look at this cost. Look at this. Can you read that for me? I don't even want to say it. I'm embarrassed to say that number. I'm embarrassed to say that number. That can't be right. It cannot be right. I'm just going to tell you like this. It's expensive. Look at this. Look at this number right here. Look, it's expensive. Is it good? It's awesome. Like all the people who I met who had one, like they were very impressive. They knew their stuff. It's an open book test. You got to take some kind of you got to. I think that it's an open book test, but you got to take their lab or something like that. I don't remember. I don't know. If somebody has one, please educate us. Educate us on this certification, and I'll read your response here. Somebody said. Somebody said. Advice on getting a GRC role for the government. So I got a video coming out with Tech Woke Podcast. So that's Chris from Tech Woke Podcast, and he talks about this exact thing, GRC role for the government. And what he recommended was he said if you live in, this is exactly what he did. If you live in the DMV area, that's DC, Virginia, Maryland area, that area has so many government positions. So number one, it's a hot spot. Like if you happen to be there, if there's a way you can move there, there's so. That's not to say that there's none anywhere else. We got some in Colorado. You got some in southern, in Miami area. You got some in California, but the hot spot for these government roles is definitely DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. Number one, and then he said in that area they've got jobs that will give you a clearance. Like you get a job working in physical security or something else, right? That's not GRC related, and you get yourself. They will pay for your role. Like you work there for a certain amount of time. They're going to pay you, of course, but they're going to get you a certification while you're there, and then with that certification, you can then go and apply for a government role. I would argue you still have to know the basics of IT. You still have to know some because even him, he was in college. He had a master's degree and took the Security Plus and passed it. So he already did his homework. He already paid his dues. And so I would argue you still need to know information technology to get this. Now, let me expand your horizon a little bit. Don't just look for government jobs. GRC is in every industry. Okay. GRC is in every It's in every position. It's in every industry. So expand your horizons. If you're serious about this, don't just look at government, because government jobs are actually hard to get. They're not easy to get there, and there's a lot of other positions out there and stuff. So don't don't just narrow your scope, right? Healthcare has one. Whatever industry you're in, they've got IT roles that you could do. I would do that. Whatever you do, they have IT doing that. They have IT in that field. I would say do IT in that field first. Get your feet wet. You might find something you like better than GRC. And for those of you who are just joining me, that stands for governance, risk, and compliance. Um, so whatever field you're in, if you're in healthcare, if you're in finance sector, if you're in education, if you're a teacher, if you whatever it is, it has some IT and some cybersecurity there. Try to make a lateral change from wherever you are into that into IT, basic IT. Get your feet wet, figure out what you want to do, then start building from there. Because not all of us are lucky enough to have been living around the DMV area. Not all of us can get a clearance, to be honest with you. Not all of us have the resources to get a master's degree, right? My man he's just a very lucky and brilliant person. So not all of us have those kind of opportunities. Now, luckily, all of us can, wherever we happen to be, well, most of us, wherever we happen to be, can make a lateral change into IT and try to get our foot in the door in IT and then start building the GRC from there. That's what I would recommend you do. Which AI tools are you using for interview questions? I use mostly ChatGPT. I've been trying out other ones like Google Genesis and Anthropic's Claude 3 is really good. Those are probably the main ones that I'm using. I use those tools for. I haven't done an interview in years. I got the same job. I have not been in an interview. But I use like it. What I'll do is if somebody asks me to help them with the interview, I'll use it for that. Or if I'm helping somebody with their resume, I'll use those tools for that to help polish. I'll look at it, read through it, make some corrections, and I'll ask the AI like, is there anything I'm missing here? And they'll add some stuff there. I'm like, okay, this is crazy. I wouldn't put this in there. Let me change this up. So I'll use those tools to do interview questions or whatever. All right, let me see here. Somebody said, hey, I just finished the Google Cybersecurity Professional Cert, taking Security Plus soon. Any tips? My tip would be try to get some experience. Don't rely too heavily on certifications. Certifications are good. They're great. They're competitive. It's going to help you to learn the common body of knowledge and stuff. That's good. But experience is where you're going to really want to, as much, whatever you can do to get experience. Look for local field tech, help desk, customer support, technical jobs. Look for. I'm telling you the hard thing to do. You know what to do, but are you willing to do it? People know what to do, but they don't want to do it. It's like losing weight. You know what you're not supposed to eat, what you can eat to get in shape, but it's just that discipline. Like David Goggins says, everybody, they know what to do, but they don't want to do it, right? I'm telling you to do what you don't want to do. I'm telling you to get experience. Work a help desk job. Swallow your pride. Get a local IT job. Work for your local broadband company, right? To get your feet wet, get your hands dirty, get in there. Okay, now let's say that's not an option for you. Maybe you live in a rural area. Well, you can do freelance work if you know IT enough. Like you say, you already got your Google certification. You're getting your Security Plus. That means you're an IT guy. Do freelance work, fix people's routers, remove viruses. We've got to do the work. You've got to get your hands dirty. So the whole name of the game is get the experience on your resume. Get your experience on your resume and your profile so you can build to the next level. so you can build to the next level. That's the name of the game. You're not trying to stay at Verizon Wireless. You're not trying to stay at Cox Broadband. You're not trying to stay at local uh, local BS help desk job. You're not trying to stay there. What you can do is get your foot in the door and then begin to level up, level up, level up. What happens is something magical. Once you start doing the work, all these other avenues start opening up. All these other opportunities will open up for you. But you got to do the work. They're going to look at what you've done, not what you have. They're going to look at what you've done when you get that next level job, not what you have. And not sometimes they won't even ask you about the Security Plus. I'm not telling you not to get it. It's very marketable. You should definitely get it. But that is not your main focus. Should be experience first, then paper. Experience first, then paper. Do labs, do projects, set stuff up in your house. Learn IT hands on. Do the work. Do freelance. Excuse me. Do freelance work. Do small help desk jobs, local jobs, volunteer work. Whatever you if you go to church, whatever hell you do it. Do IT for wherever you're at. If you got no options at all, go to the military. I mean, how hardcore? How do you want to do this or not? You know, I mean, that's where my head has been. Like, do you want it or not? Let me answer some more questions here. My first interview in a couple of weeks. No experience, but CYSA plus certified. Any tips on interview? Yes, yes. So just like I told Tammy Green, hey Larry, thank you for that $20, man. I appreciate you. Thanks, Tammy, and thanks, Larry. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you. This is how I get these drinks right here. These drinks ain't free. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm going to come to your question in a second. Let me finish this one. So, okay. So your question, just like I told Tammy Green, she was asking the same question. Like, you have an interview in a couple weeks. You got no experience, but you have a certification. Any tips on this interview? So what I would do, so you like free right now that you can do it right now. You can get off this live and go do it right now. Go to ChatGPT. It's free. ChatGPT, Google Genesis, or Claude AI, and put in, copy and paste the job description, and then put in exactly what question you just asked me. Put in. I would like to just show you, but you're on TikTok, so I can't show you. But that's what you do. Go to ChatGPT, type it, get the copy and paste the description, put it in there, and say, I don't have experience, but I have a CYSA plus. Give me some tips on an interview. See what it says. And then dig a little bit deeper, right? Don't just, this is just a tool. Use it as a tool. I'm not telling you to use verbatim what it tells you, but use it as a tool. Man, it's a great springboard. I would like to do a quick demonstration for you because it's just to show you what kind of power these tools have. Let me see. Let me see what I can do here. Let me do this quickly. So I'm gonna go to, what am I doing? All right. So let me go here. I'm gonna go to. All right, bear with me here. I'm gonna go to LinkedIn. Let me close this thing down so I can go to LinkedIn. LinkedIn. I'm gonna find a help desk job. I'm gonna find a help desk job. If y'all didn't know, this is my real LinkedIn page. I'm finding a help desk job right here. Help desk. I'm just gonna type in help desk. Man, what is wrong with me? Help. Okay, there we go. Type the wrong thing in 15 times. Okay. Jobs. Right here. Here's the job right here. Help desk overnight. Some of these help desk jobs are remote, by the way. Remote help desk jobs. So I'm gonna grab what they want from us. I'm going to grab, let's see, what do we need? We need the requirements of the job. We need a brief description of the job. All right, here's what I'm going to do. It's going to do the laziest thing possible. We'll go ahead and copy all of this all the way down to the skills. Copy. I'm going to go back here and watch this. I'm going to say, I'm doing this live. If you want to watch me, I'm on YouTube. Go to YouTube. Go to type in Convocourses. You'll find my live. There's only one Convocourses. Go. If you want to follow me, I'm doing it live. I'm going to show you exactly what I would do to answer your question. And the question is, if you happen to be late to this, somebody said, my interview is in a couple weeks. No experience. I just have a CYSA plus. Any tips on the interview? I'm about to show you live how I would do this interview. So what I did was I took a random job off of LinkedIn. It's a help desk job. And so I'm going to say like this. I am applying. I have an interview. I have an interview with for the following job. Okay, period. I don't have experience, but I have a CYSA plus. And then I'm just going to tell them the job. Oh, wait, no, here we go. I'm going to say, what are interview questions I should rehearse? I should practice. Now it's going to give me some GRC, oh my Lord. It's going to give me some questions for this particular job. Now I just copy and pasted the job in. So it knows what job I want. It has all my limitations. It has all the requirements. Now it's spitting out a whole bunch of possible interview questions. And I'm going to read a couple. It says, given that you have a CYSA plus certification, but a lack of direct experience, focus on the technical knowledge and the customer service skills will be crucial. There you go right there. Now it's based off of what I just typed in. Now you, of course, what you want to do is take whatever job you were trying to do, like whatever, I don't know what it is. So you want to take that job and copy it and paste into ChatGPT and do exactly what I just did. Just ask the basic questions. I don't have direct experience. I have a CYSA plus. What kind of interview questions should I practice? Now that's going to be the key. This is great, but what you're going to have to do is rehearse it and practice it. Just like you're Beyonce about to go on stage and perform in Houston. You don't want to fuck it up. So you need to practice. All right, so there you go. So it's saying, here are some interview questions you should practice, along with tips and how to answer them. Okay, so it says common question. I'll just read a couple. First one says, can you describe a time, and this is the person asking, this is the employer asking you, can you describe a time when you provided excellent customer service? Right, and then you would respond like, here's an example. You would relate your answer to any job or situation where you had assisted someone, even if it wasn't in a technical capacity. Highlight your communication skills, your patience, and the ability to resolve an issue. So you'd say something like, well, I would say I have exceptional communication skills. And case in point, I was working with a lot of difficult customers at Amazon. And a lot of times it wouldn't be necessarily technical issues that I would have, but they would have a kind of a service level issue. And what I would always do is I would calm them down. I would not take it personally what they said to me. You know, I know it's a job and I don't want to turn the customer away. So I would always kill them with kindness. And that's one of my best skills. I have a lot of patience with the customer. I don't take things seriously. I mean, I don't take things, I wouldn't say that. I don't take things personally. So, you know, that's one of my best skills is that I have a lot of patience and I'm always able to calm the customer down. So that's one of the things you could say. So they're saying like focus on that skill. Now let's read in one more question here. How do you prioritize and manage multiple support requests simultaneously? How do you manage multiple management support requests simultaneously? And it's giving you a tip on what you should do. Discuss any experience you have with time management in organizations. So what you could say is, what I would normally do in my day is I would take about 15, 20 minutes to write down all the things I need to do for that day in a level of priority. I'd start off with, of course, the customer situation. At Amazon, our customer came first. So what we have to do is make sure that our hugest trouble tickets were taken care of. So I would normally put those on a paper, and I would have like a top 3 things that I would address first, and then everything else was tertiary after that. And throughout the day, of course, sometimes things pop up, and I would just make sure that I was ready to change directions anytime I had to. Like if the managers came to me and they had something more important, I would go ahead and slip that to the top of my priority list, and I would work it that way. So my thing was being organized in the beginning of the day, prioritize, and that's how I was able to attack every situation. So you'd say you would do something like that, but this goes through a bunch of other stuff, including some technical situations. And in every example, what you want to do is tell them heartfelt, personal situations that you did, so that they know how you'll respond in their situations. They want to know how you can solve their problems, and you need to show them in a story form how you can solve their problems. That's what you want to do in every interview. And the reason why you want to like tell a story, you want to explain like an actual situation that happened as much as possible, is because human beings, like, we are geared to stories. Like I think it's because before technology, before all of our tools, we would just sit around a fire and just tell stories. And it's our mind is geared to stories. Like when we hear somebody's stories, we kind of start relating to them, or we hate them. We instantly hate or love a person based off of their story, like what is going on in a storyline. So that's why, as much as possible, you want to relate what you actually did in your previous situation to what you're trying to do and what you can do for them. And then they'll start envisioning how you can be a part of their team. Advice on getting a GRC role for the government. I think I already read that one. Which AI tool for interview are you answer that one? Okay, let me answer a few more. Jump in the YouTube questions. See if I got anything on Instagram. Nothing. Oh, here we go. We got some on Instagram. That's crazy. Somebody said, "Are you still in Colorado? Space Force has been great for me." I am still in Colorado. There's a ton of Space Force jobs around here. Um, so yeah, congrats on those positions. Somebody said, how is a security control traceability matrix created? How is a security control traceability with spreadsheets? So what they'll do, what they'll do is they'll take a spreadsheet. What I've done is I'll take a spreadsheet and I'll grab it usually from the NIST, like let's say it's from PCI DSS. You can go there. They usually have a spreadsheet downloadable, and a lot of times they'll already have a traceability matrix. And for those of you who don't know, a traceability matrix is it's a it's a list of controls, security controls. Like it'll have IA2, and you have to have a username. IA3, you have to have authentication. You IA4, you have to have a username and authentication. But so it'll have all of these different controls, right? Controls are security features that you'll put on a computer or a server or a phone or whatever, and I have a list of them. You usually have hundreds of them. And then a traceability matrix is saying, how does NIST 800 map to PCI DSS, which is a control matrix, a list of controls for the credit card industry? This becomes really important to, say, a federal organization who needs to use point of sale devices, because not only do they have to meet NIST 800 or NIST CSF, but they also have to meet PCI DSS compliance. And so it becomes important to have some spreadsheet that maps one to one. And so normally if you go to PCI DSS, if you go to CIS, if you go to NIST 800, if you go to the source, they'll have a traceability matrix there. But if they don't, what you can do is you could take one, download it from their site, and then take the other one and then go by families. You can group them by families first. Like, give you a specific example would be NIST CSF map into NIST 800. So NIST, one family of categories, because they don't really have controls, they have categories and functions. You could take, what's a good one? A good one would be governance. Like governance controls would usually be like security policies, right? A security policy for governance controls are all, actually every family of controls in NIST 800 has a policy, a place where you would put policies. And so you take all those policy controls and map them to governance category and functions. I lost people by answering that question, so I regret it. I regret answering that question. Let me see. Let's see here. Yo, man, I really got to do a community, man, because people are talking back and forth, and we got to keep this conversation going. This is crazy. Oh man, this is so critical. I'm working on it, guys. I'm gonna put something together. So AK says, any job opportunities available? Yes, 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 yes. I do, man. I just got a couple. There was one for Costa Rica where they wanted a cybersecurity person paying six figures, but you have to live in Costa Rica, right? They pay. I think they pay for your place there, but you got to speak fluent Spanish. It was a dope ass job. And then I got another one recently. Man, there's so many jobs for this career field. It's crazy. Been in this field for 2 years and cybersecurity specialist and would love to connect on LinkedIn. Yeah, absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn. Just go to on LinkedIn, type in Bruce CISSP. In fact, I'll show you my screen here real quick. This is where I'm at right here. This is me right here. Bruce Brown. Let me switch my screen real quick. Make it a little bit bigger. There we go. That's me right there. Bruce Brown. If you guys are looking for me on LinkedIn, I got a lot of stuff going on, so I don't respond to everybody immediately. I'm hoping to change that situation. But yeah, here I am right here. Bruce Brown. If you type in, let me see if I can show you the actual link. Oh, that's me. Oh shit, I gotta get out of this before it causes a problem. Let me see. It has an actual link, and I don't. If I go here, okay, that's why. Yeah, it's Bruce-CISSP-RMF, and that's me. If you want to join me, it only takes me a second to actually join people to my community. So go ahead and jump in there. I'll be releasing new stuff on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on YouTube, everywhere. Tammy says, you can record your video? You can record your interviews, make a monthly subscription for followers that helps them demand. Oh, okay, that's nice. Record my interviews for followers that helps with the demand of requests, and you can knock out two birds with one stone. Oh man, thanks, Tammy. I really appreciate that. That's brilliant. Yeah, that's a good idea. Especially if people allow me to like do mock interviews with them and I'll record it, and then yeah, that's a really good idea. Hold on, let me write that down. Why didn't I ever think of that? Record to group. Yeah, that's a really good. Thanks, Tammy. Holy shit, that's a really good idea. Let me see. More questions. I'm about to end this thing real soon, guys. But thank you guys so much for asking your questions. The questions and your comments and stuff is very helpful because believe it or not, a lot of people have the same question. So I really appreciate it. But I got to answer this one before I go for sure from my man Larry. Larry says, "Hey Bruce, have you checked out the ISC2 squared? The cert is new, but comes from a reputable organization. It's being offered for free or close to it. I'm using it to build up to study for the CISSP and add to my resume." Yeah, I have heard of the OS. It's ISC2 has a entry level cybersecurity certification, and it's called. Let me see if I can show you guys what Larry's talking about. It's certified in cybersecurity. Here, let me show you my screen here real quick. This is it right here. And for a while, oh, they still have a free exam and training. Okay, it was free when they first let it out, and then they were charging for it for a bit. For now, it's actually, excuse me, it's actually free again. So that's awesome. Yeah, this is from an organization that does the CISSP, one of the top cybersecurity certifications in the world. Actually, they do two or three of the top certifications in the world. Cybersecurity certifications in the world is done by this organization. Very reputable organization. They have a knack for promoting the hell out of their products. So if you have this by your name, um, it becomes known because people know what IC2 squared is. So if you have a CISSP, if you have any of their other certifications like the GC uh, CGRC, which is a new branded certification that they have. I have that one, but they used to be called the CAP. That's why I can't remember what it is. They just changed it like a few months ago or about a year ago or something. So yeah, here's another one that they just released. That right now it's free exam, free training. That's awesome. And what do they cover? Let's see what they cover. What do they cover here? Let's see. They have the domains here: security principles, business continuity, disaster recovery, incident response, access control concepts, network security, security operations. So it looks like they're kind of going after a little bit of the security plus market. And these guys, they're no joke. So they're going to promote the hell out of this and get the government to endorse it and all kinds of stuff because that's what they've done with all their other certifications. So yeah, thanks for that, Larry, letting people know about that. What do I think about it? I think it's awesome that they're doing this. The more they expand, the better. More opportunities that they offer to people, more certifications, better. As a matter of fact. All right, guys, I think that's it for me. Thank you guys for watching. Expect real soon. I'm coming out with a GRC course, GRC that is going to be more expansive, meaning it's not just for government people like the risk management framework one is. It's going to be more inclusive. It's going to have a book. I'm trying to do more stuff with this one. I think it'll be more of a membership type thing, more of a one-on-one interactive type thing that I want to do because the types of questions that I get will lend itself to that kind of format. So it's going to take me a while to develop it, but I'm working on it right now. So stay tuned if you're interested in something like this and joining our free community, convocourses.com, convocourses.net to get all the news on what's going on. I give away free books. I give away free courses. I give away free templates. And if you're wondering why the hell is it free, is it worthless if it's free? No, what I do is I use that to get more people in. The free is to get people in and to show them the value that I'm offering. And then once they get in, it's like, okay, I got way more than that. And if you're willing to invest in yourself, then they're like, okay, I want to buy this book. I want to buy the course. I want one-on-one time and all that kind of stuff. So the free, and actually the free is also there's. I'm just gathering stuff that's already out there, and I'm just putting it in one spot and saying, look, here it is right here. This is what you guys been asking for. Here it is, and I just host it. So that's another reason why I give stuff away for free. It's already free. I'm just saying, hey, it's right here. Here it is right here. Here's other resources if if you're going in this path or going in that path. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. I'm out of here, and stay tuned for a lot more. Wait a minute, I got one more question. William said, once once I'm done with the Navy validator training, how do I find a job with limited GRC experience? Um, if you have IT experience, which I think you do, focus on your IT background. All the focus on what I've noticed. Like a lot of IT guys don't do, whether you're a server expert or help desk expert. What I notice a lot of guys don't do is they don't focus on their security, the security that they've done. That security stuff is GRC. If you've written a policy, if you turned on audit logs, if you've done antivirus, all those things are a part of the processes that we need to have governance and risk and compliance. You just got to focus in on all the stuff that you've already done and make sure it's in your resume. If you've written a security policy, if you've written a standard operating procedure, if you've written a wiki page, those are all GRC type stuff that they want to do. They want to know that you're able to write technical papers. They want to be able they want to know that you're able to talk to different aspects of the organization. You just need to articulate that in your interview and on your resume. So the validator course is awesome. Like that's something great to have on your resume. But focus also, you want to put that on a resume for sure, but focus on the actual skills you've already done for security, for applying security to systems. All right. Thanks for that question, William. I'm out of here. And thank you, sir, for the $5.